Hello, hello, hello. It's week 2 of Designing for the Web. And this week we're going to look at interface design. Interface design has a different number of names. You can call it UX design, user experience design. These are the other big buzzwords, and it is hot. It is on fire. Even Google now will give you a 6-month certificate program, and it's equivalent to a 4-year degree program, and Google's doing that. That's how short they are with UX designers, and they get paid pretty well. So UX is huge, user interface is huge. What is user interface? Here it is. User interface design is the overall design, refers to the human-computer interaction, operational logic, and stunning interface of the software. Good interface design can not only make the web look special, but also makes the operations become more simple and comfortable. Now, all right, we see it on our phone, right? iOS versus Android. The phone has an interface. Icons represent the apps. You tap and then you move on. But if we look back, this is just a few different examples. Here is a microwave. It has an interface. How easy is it to use? Think about your own microwave. I remember when I grew up, there was one microwave my parents had. It was really complicated. But usually, if it's designed well, it's very easy to use. So you can see here, there's 6 presets on the very top: popcorn, potato, etc. You've got the number pad where you can put the number of seconds, ideally. And then you hit start and stop. There are other microwaves which are more complicated. Here's one where it says more or less. And then there's different types of auto defrost meats. But generally speaking, you have a number pad, okay, and then you have a stop and start button. That's interface. You can think of other things too when it comes to interface. We don't do much of this anymore, but before, back in the day, we used to have TVs and we would watch. Look how complicated this remote is. Again, this is the interface design. You have a number pad, you have the volume and channel, and you have a bunch of other things that are there. Really complicated. Man, there are some TVs that are super complicated when it comes to accessing it. Then Apple comes up with their own TV. Let's have a look at theirs. And this is incredibly basic. All right, you got a touch wheel. You have volume control, that's right there. And you have fast forward and back and record, voice. So again, very simple comparisons between different types of devices. One for the using to warm your food, and the other one to change or control your television. If we look further, everyone has access to one of these. It's an automobile. This is a beautiful design in terms of an interior of a car. But the interface, if you're driving, you'll notice that the steering wheel has a bunch of buttons. That's also interface in terms of how you control things. So I've always been a BMW driver, and so my cruise control, all these things, and changing songs and tracks and volumes are right into the steering wheel. I now drive a Mercedes as I've gotten older. It's a more mature car, and it seems to run better in the GCC. It's a little frustrating because a lot of the buttons are different. Cruise control is a little stick on the side, etc., etc. But anyways, if you look at this, notice how a lot of cars now have these big screens. That's interface design. And so wonderful example of beautifully laid out design. Okay, so now if we go back to the lecture, we have in web terms, it's really the organization of content on a page. That's what interface design is. The way the buttons are. The layout is really what is the rest. All right, so interface is really about the buttons. Let's have a look at some different website examples. We have news websites versus social media websites. They're all very different because of the functions and the purpose of these websites. Some are informational, some are entirely entertainment based, and the way that the information is relayed is very different. One can be text, one can be video, like YouTube, one can be entirely based on photographs. So interface design, again, is the button placement and then different accents to help the user know what is what with icons. Sometimes you just see text over top of a button. And then also the layout of text. If there is text, how does it relate in terms of the page. And when we're dealing about a page, we're dealing with a 1920 by 1080. That's the general size. It's landscape compared to a phone, which is different. And that'll be for the next assignment. But for now, let's focus on, let's say, a laptop screen. So this is the general makeup of web design. It's the interface, okay, the buttons and how to interact. And then you have the layout of text. You have the arrangement of photos, okay, and then you have maybe the brand, the logo, etc., etc. Certain slogans that may appear that go into what is designing for the web. Let's have a look at some examples of design. Here is Google's website, and they've been famous for this design. It's incredibly simple, and now they have a lot of these animated graphics that appear where the Google logo should be, and it's very simple. You have a search bar and you have two buttons. You can even have search by voice. If you look at the equivalent, and this has been huge in the past, Microsoft, now called Bing, they've simplified it, but still it looks quite complicated. You have this footer at the bottom. That's what a footer is. You have all this information here. They're changing things up. They followed Google quite a bit. So here's Amazon.com, and wow, there's not a lot here. You've got discovering Amazon and shopping different languages, and you scroll down, you got books. But primarily you have the search at the top, you have today's deals, so not a lot of stuff here. And you do have that rotating bar. And then once you get into the deals promotions, you've got a number of different things. You've got a column on the left if you want to switch things up, and then you've got thumbnails on the right, two different products. All right, so you got the home page, and then when you go deeper, there's a secondary page. And then you go to the third level. Let's see if we click on one of this. This is a Blender. The interface changes. The top is still the same, but then we've got some things on the right-hand side about buying, and we scroll down, and then we have different reviews and different suggestions. This is what makes Amazon pretty straightforward, easy to use. Let's compare it to another website. I'm a big Nike buff, so again, this is a clothing website, kind of like a marketplace like Amazon. You've got some really stunning graphics to get people interested and into it. You got the top bar, and not a lot of stuff until you scroll down, and then you've got those boxes appearing and some of the different clothing that you could purchase. And again, it's pretty large, but again, it's a really well done website. So just to share a couple more examples, everyone listens to music, and so here we're looking at Spotify. This is Spotify's way of designing their interface. You have the left side with playlists, searching. You have the main window. Content has, again, thumbnails. Okay, thumbnails are very popular with pictures, and you have the play sign when you hover over top. You have uniquely yours, and you scroll down. So this is pretty similar to some other ones. Let's have a look at SoundCloud. SoundCloud is another really popular music player. And again, you scroll through, you have icons, and you have the text underneath it, and you usually have, everything is more or less laid out, right, with columns. Okay, relax, in these rows, study. All right, on the right hand side looks like there's history, and then some other things. So I guess SoundCloud doesn't really seem to have the same type of clean look that Spotify does. If we go over to another really popular website, here we've got YouTube. So again, left hand side, a lot of the different features and icons. Notice how there's an icon next to the text. That's on the left hand side. Then you have the grid and icons, thumbnails of the videos. If we go to another super popular website, so if you look at Netflix, you'll see that they've got a giant ad on the very front, and as you scroll down, you've got the different thumbnails for each of the movies. There's not a lot of text for each movie. Like this one's called Night School. It's not until you hover over it do you see that it's comedy and et cetera, et cetera. So that's Netflix. Very straightforward, very graphical, not a lot of text. And that's the trend these days. We're not seeing a lot of text. If you go to a news website, okay, you're going to see a lot of text. CNN is pretty popular in the US. I'm kind of used to that. So if we look at CNN, you will see, all right, tons of text, a lot of columns, okay, and major headlines. I mean, we're not talking about. So yeah, there you have it. I mean, there's a bunch of different types of websites, all with different interfaces. You saw the news sites, you saw the media sites like YouTube, you saw the music sites, and then you saw the search sites. We didn't have a chance really to explore social media, but social media websites always come with columns and text appearing and different buttons as icons. So that's interface design for the web. And as you're planning ahead, you'll want to think about how you want to design your website that's easy enough that people can follow. All right, so we'll see you in the next video. Take care, have fun.